What's up, everybody? Welcome to Bitcoin and Altcoin Trading Talk, episode 44. Man, 6 more episodes and we'll be at 50. Then we'll have a big party.
Wow. Man, I didn't realize that.
Big 5-0.
Yeah, time flies when you're having fun, Brian. And when you're growing a beard. I started this beard at the beginning of the series, so we're getting there. But
really? At the beginning of the playoffs? That's when you started it?
No. At the beginning of the Bitcoin and Altcoin Trading Talk podcast. Let's take
it. Rather slow
we were joking before we started recording here. I put a picture of Aaron Rodgers up against Will, and I swear you guys could be brothers.
Yeah, that's what I'm going for. You know, a little homage. I even have my Title Town
fantastic
glass here. So
way to go, dude! I'm so proud for you guys. At least you got something to cheer for in Green Bay. There's not a hell of a lot of sports teams up there.
Yeah. Out in the Great White North up here. So actually, I mean, we're not that close to Green Bay, but I wish I was in Green Bay so I could see more Packer games up close in person. But anyways, getting off topic. Welcome everybody. William Kale from Coinigy.com. Back again with Brian Beamish, the Irrational Investor. How's it going tonight?
Fantastic. Much better, of course, after seeing all of your beautiful faces.
Right back at you. And the all-seeing eye there is Alex Sterk. He's got his video turned off right now. He's having some internet issues. But how you doing, Alex?
Oh, pretty good. Yeah, just enjoying the volatility we're getting from the Bitcoin here. But yeah, still getting some fun stuff in the altcoin space. Lots happening in the background. So yeah, it's been pretty good the last 3 weeks. Got lots of exciting updates.
Good news, yeah. A lot of stuff's gone down since the last show, that's for sure. So we'll get into some of that. And last but not least, Da Vinci, Dav the Man. What's going on tonight?
All right, pretty good here in Chile. It's like 30 degrees at nighttime in the summer here. That's what, Fahrenheit, I think it's like 94. It's pretty brutal.
Yeah, that sounds terrible. Oh, man. With my, 11 degrees outside and just crappy snow slop. But I'd take 94.
You can finally cheer. The snow has finally left Vancouver. Holy crap.
Yeah, we still have some, but it's just watered down, freezes at night, so the roads are terrible. And yeah, but anyways, got a great show for everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I guess really just to kind of dive in, there was one thing I wanted to mention as far as Coinigy is concerned. We do have VBTC is now has trading enabled on the platform. So any of you guys, they're pretty big. They trade the Vietnamese dong, I think it's pronounced, with Bitcoin. So you can find that under the exchange code VBTC. And they're one of the Blink Trade exchanges. There's a couple other Blink Trade exchanges out there, so they all kind of use a centralized platform. So yeah, check that out. Good deal. Just wanted to mention that.
Do they have a lot of dong pairs?
They have one pair, and it's BTC VND, I think, which is Vietnamese dong, or however you pronounce it. So, but kind of cool, just as far as if you're cross-referencing markets and stuff like that, just another fiat pair to look at. So.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to watch how it trades relative to the Chinese currency market trade, because they're very closely related.
Yeah, and I guess they're kind of on their holiday right now, so I
was talking to somebody from there. Is it their New Year?
Yep, yes it is. So it's like everything's kind of shut down. So I guess the volume's not crazy right now, but it's not crazy like China has been. But
we have a new student, Zeke. He's in Vietnam. So and actually he was talking a little bit about that the other day too. So that's
Good
2
deal.
Vietnam references in less than a week. So I better pay attention. And if I'm not mistaken, in our level 1, we just did the demographic study, so we were all buried in demographic curves around the world. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Vietnamese demographics are really, really bullish for the Vietnamese economy going forward. So anyway, that's interesting.
Cool beans.
Yeah.
So curious to hear what the latest and greatest is as far as Bitcoin, Brian.
Well, I could give you my 2 cents for whatever the hell that's worth. You know, we'll go through the charts, and as well too, you know, site members, students, if you're having to watch this, of course, we do our weekly Bitcoin summary in the blog. So give you a general idea. Hopefully all of our people have, you know, you hear the same message from me. What we should probably do, why don't we, and I think someone suggested, why don't we just start off with just a nice overview of what's going on in the Bitcoin market. I'll try and keep it relatively curt. If, you know, Alex, you're not in camera, so I can't get a sort of facial expression of whether I've run out of time or not. Oh, there he is. Right, so give me like an eyebrow nod or something like that when you think I'm getting a little too I've talked too much. There he is. He's such a handsome gentleman, that Alex.
Oh, thank you.
You know, I'll just spiel, and when you feel like I've talked too much, then I'll try and cut it off. Okay. I think on balance, you know, we're in a bull market, so you might as well just enjoy it while it lasts. You know, just a simple message and probably not a bad idea. In fact, why don't we even do this? Let's, and you know, actually, I always ask you guys this because I don't know for certain, but I was going to do the analysis here off of the Coinbase chart. That's your GDAX, right? Or what does it go?
Yeah, it stands for Global Digital Asset Exchange, which is the Coinbase exchange.
Yeah. Why is it I can't see it? Is it, yeah, GDAX right here, right? Okay, so let's start at the very highest time frame. Keep this as simple as possible. We'll just draw on our simple model that we use on our template here. Come on, Bitcoin!
Come on, baby.
You can do it! Maybe we'll have to hit refresh. And, you know, while I'm loading this, you know, just a simple message here is higher highs and higher lows defines a bull market. Oh, I remember. So, yeah, we're probably, you know, for the longer term, let's go and look at STAM, just so we have the data. Right. And bear with me, everybody. It's been a long day for me here. So, you know, if I have to say something twice or something, just bear with me here. Okay,
No
are we on Stamp yet?
No, you got to click BITS there, yeah.
Okay, hey, there we go. And are we going to get a weekly chart? There, we did it. It's a miracle. All right, we'll throw on just our simple model. Okay, so you guys have heard me talk lots about these indicators. You know, very simply put, and, you know, I know a lot of people in the Bitcoin community don't like me to say this, but this is just gnarly old trader. Until we actually break out of this trading range, we are still very much in a trading range. And all we did here was we just rallied up and test the top end of a longer term trend range. I do like the fact that this looks very saucer bottomy, so you can see that this range has been fully explored. And, you know, if we used other tools, we could verify that indeed, you know, we have fully explored this price range. Now, the ultimate question here is, do we transition into a trending market state in which we're going to go break these highs? And as you can see from previous breakouts, sometimes those breakouts can be extremely violent. It's interesting that we were looking at the Bitcoin Volatility Index with some students this past week, and I noticed that the Bitcoin Volatility Index has really compressed itself. We have like a W within a W in the Bitcoin Volatility Index. Maybe what that is pretending, and some of my old alumni were kind of like, well, Brian, Bitcoin Volatility Index could be actually implying a big, massive breakout in price action as well. In the classic stock market, when we see the volatility index compress near the low end of the range, that's usually a bit of a warning sign. We'll see how that plays out, but there is anecdotal evidence that, you know, something big is coming down the pike here. We'll know that, hey, this is for real. Get ready to rock and roll when we clear through these old highs. I know a lot of people also say to Brian, well, you know, I like to follow the Chinese market. The Chinese market already has broken out. If I follow it in euros, it's already broken out. For me, old gnarly trader dude, I'm going to stick with the US dollar denominated Bitcoin markets, and I'll let them tell me when I see a breakout. And, you know, it's entirely up to you. You're asking what my opinion is. I'm giving you my opinion. I think on the shorter time frame, you know, things like the 13-period EMA works really, really great to just sort of keep you honest indicator. And on the weekly basis, you can see how price had to come back and check that 13 EMA. And we do even get like little pullbacks to test the 30 SMA here. And I think that's basically what's happened here, is that we had the rally up to test the old highs, we failed, and all we did was we came back and we checked the 13 EMA here. As well, you guys probably saw tweets and stuff that I was putting out recently to the effect that Bitcoin loves 61.8 fibs. If we go over to something like Coinbase, that 61.8 fib was actually tagged. On Stamp here, it hasn't been, which kind of leads me to believe that eventually down the road, we still got to work our way a little bit lower here. Now, a couple things jump out at me here. The first is this 3-bar pattern. This bar, and this bar could potentially form a fractal top. In essence, right now, as I see it, I think the market is range bound between that low and this high. And really, if we lose this level, then it means that, yeah, the bull's in trouble and we're going to have to do some backfilling. So it's interesting how we're coming into sort of moving average support. We've established a range with these wicks and tails. And I think over the lower term, what we're probably going to see is a lot of sort of backfilling, and, you know, exploring this range for the time being. If we pop on over to Coinbase, right, what I see here is we were basically stair-stepping our way higher. And you remember all through the fall how we were talking about that particular bullish bot and how it ultimately had an objective up here at 910, 920, 930 area. And you know, I think this is an excellent testament to don't get into the habit of calling tops, because sometimes the tops will be much greater and much more violent than you expect. And in this particular case, though, I do believe that this was the harmonic objective. We had to blow off top. And the worst part about this, of course, is if we pull up momentum indicators, and you can even see on the volume indicators, we were starting to get signs of divergence when we were up here. And of course, you know, for those that have active Twitter feeds and stuff like this is when you start seeing the public all chiming in about Bitcoin.
That's also when all of a sudden you see mainstream media articles about Bitcoin.
Exactly, right? If anything, that's got to be a warning to us that we're near the end of the move, not the beginning. It doesn't necessarily mean that this has to be the end of the rally. In fact, you know, harmonic traders will call this a potential reversal zone, or PRZ. And if all the ingredients set up for a trade, then they might take it. But PRZ, the P is the most important thing, potential. In this particular case, the blow off top happened to be quite a bit more than the harmonic level. But I find it fascinating that on the other side of the blow off top, ba-boom, right back into that harmonic level. Little bit of a consolidation. I kind of feel that this move right in here, this dump here into good old Mountain Man, was nothing more than just, okay, we got a couple guys that at knife caught, and there's a bunch of, you know, early buyers in here. Let's go clean some stops out. When we got down into this area on the chart, it really felt to me like we were getting exhausted. And it was interesting, actually, in the lounge on my site and stuff, I was actually posting, I don't have that chart up handy. Let's see if I can do this relatively quickly here. I was posting a market symmetry study, and actually in today's video, I went through the whole process of how we create these market symmetry studies. basically just take your price bar formation from the high to the low. Let's see if I can do that. So that creates this image. All right, let's see if we can make that a little deeper here for you. There it is. And then we're just going to go into the settings and we're going to flip that. And so now it gives us sort of a mirror image of what price did on the way down. And well, price will never follow this exactly. Can you kind of see the similarities that's going on here? You know, this is, if we think head and shoulders pattern, and that's what I did here, is one could argue that this is a market symmetry pattern. And if we break out through here, then this particular market symmetry pattern basically suggests that, you know, if we have a move, you know, this consolidation pattern, head and shoulders, and we confirm it, that your ultimate objective is a breakout the distance from the neckline to the head up into here. So like we had just a moment ago with the market symmetry study kind of making a big old cup, now we've got a head and shoulders pattern that looks like it's trying to also project up into here. And then also too, if we look at price itself, we can actually see where the real battle was waged, right? It's back and forth. And it was interesting watching Coinbase here. We saw big orders hitting the market here, right? The market would settle down, then all of a sudden, 50,000 coin, bam, slam the market, right? And people that I was talking to on Twitter and stuff were like, "Well, here comes the cold storage coins." And so that was sort of a heads up that, hey, things are getting a little choppy. But the point that I'm trying to make is here's our good old-fashioned reload zone tool, right? And what a coincidence, the reload zone tool, head and shoulders, can you start to see how all of these levels are setting up so that if anybody wanted to sell up in this area, that they're going to take price right back up into that area to let them do it again.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what I think is going on here in the short term. Now, if we want to drill down to even lower time frame, are you going to work?
Having problems there today.
Yeah, sorry. And it's probably a lot of traffic this time of day. Okay, maybe you're not going to cooperate. That's fine. Come back, baby. Come back. You can do it. Is it going to just reload the whole chart? No, reload the whole chart? Shit. Oh, well.
Click restore from last autosave in the lower left there. And that
right here?
Yep.
Oh, beautiful. See, look at that. Will taught me something.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Fucking
I didn't know they had that.
Yep.
Phew. All right, so we'll just saved our butt. Okay, so the point that I'm trying to make here, and I'll just zoom in here, is for those lower time frame players, right, that are trading, traders gotta trade, we actually have a really interesting scenario here, right, where we can see potential tops. I was talking to some people in the lounge today about head and shoulders patterns just off of very lower time frames. And you can notice that off of this high back to the low, we just came back to, does anybody remember what is this level? Da Vinci, you're not allowed to answer this. What is this level here called?
Line in the sand.
Oh!
No, the first stop target.
This is the
okay.
first
I have like 3 or 4 that I just go to and rattle them off. And
all right, well, let's just put it there. What the hell? And in essence, there's an old floor trader that I used to, that taught me, that basically said that you've got to let this level resolve before you can really get any clear direction as to market. So this kind of makes sense to me, in that if these levels hold and we consolidate and we move higher, that validates the head and shoulders, and up we go. And one could argue maybe we even have bull ABCD start to fire off of just zoomed in here. If, however, the 38.2 can't hold, then odds are we got to come right back down to this reload zone, and you can see this juicy low right in here. So and there is, Will, there is your line in the sand, 78.6.
Gotcha.
My hunch is if this fails, there's going to be a hell of a battle around 785 area, 784 on this GDAX. So those are the kind of levels that I would recommend. You know, this is shorter term, you know, traders, swing traders, watch for the swing head and shoulders for our move back up top. And then, of course, trend traders, if we can go out and break out through the highs and register new all-time highs on Bitcoin, then you higher time frame trend traders can breathe a big sigh of relief. Okay, what do you think? How does that? Is that a nice summary?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, yeah.
Those two drops are, I guess, largely attributed to this inspection going on with Chinese exchanges.
Right.
Because I guess the People's Bank of China slapped some fines on the three major exchanges. The worst one, I think, being BTC China, which I think was
Do you actually have a link about actual fines? I
haven't
saw.
heard the fines thing, but I heard that they came in and basically just put a stop to everything as far as.
Well,
leverage.
I heard that they had summoned, and this is very typical Chinese. The higher ups summon you to Beijing, and you better respond. And they all went, okay, fine, okay, let's go. And the higher ups basically said, now you boys, you better, clean up your noses. And the first thing that I saw, the first reaction was BTC China said, all right, no more margin trading. But I didn't actually see any specific reference to actual monetary fines. Was there actually fines?
Sorry, I might be misquoting that, but yeah, I guess what they found. What was the one thing I was reading? But they were saying there was instances of naked shorting happening. So like the leveraging was loaning out Bitcoin that didn't exist on the platform.
Yeah.
So that's one of the biggest, I guess, legal issues that they're facing right now.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Well, it's par for the course in China, guys. I mean, we got to understand, we in the West, we live by a slightly different moral compass. So, yeah, we in the West, we're kind of like, how can they do that? But you got to understand that's kind of business as usual. You get away with what you can get away with.
But they do that here in the United States, though. I mean, it's done, right? Naked shorting is done.
Let's not get started with the banks and the gold and the silver. We don't want to go down that road.
No. I have a question for you, Brian. Do you really believe that the events in China actually affected the price? Because technically, the price was still going down even though that event occurred, right?
It's kind of. I think it's one of these. I think tail wags the dog. Does the dog wag the tail, or does the tail wag the dog? I think we can make the argument that Bitcoin was at the end of a big bull run, and we sat here for months. You guys remember this, Will? And I would talk, oh yeah, the bot says you're supposed to be long from down here off the cup and handle, and you stop to break even. It's been hit, so you just have to let it work and don't do anything, just leave it alone, right? And this was the end of that move, and it doesn't surprise me, the end of the move. Kind of remember when Litecoin went through its halvening event, and the rally was going to happen, but then we found out some clown in China was running a Ponzi scheme, and we were wondering why the price went so far that it did. And so, was it the guy that was running the Ponzi scheme that caused the blow off top rally, or was it the halvening event, the fundamental backdrop that laid the groundwork for the bull market? That's the kind of the way I'm looking at this. I don't think it's necessarily that the Chinese event itself was what caused the end of the run. It was just sort of the straw that broke the camel's back. The market, if anything, was just looking, give me a reason to break here. Right, and if anything, what I was keeping my fingers crossed and I was praying for was, don't let it be some fucking horrific scandal. Because if it was a Gox that broke this, that we might have to go through a couple years of cleanup again, which sucks.
Well, it's funny. The old joke is like China bans Bitcoin is like an ongoing market event, and this was very much in that same kind of school of thought of China bans Bitcoin. And I think those two legs, the first one was the announcement that an inspection was going to take place, and the second one was the actual results of the announcement, which was they were removing margin trading and stuff like that. So it fits pretty well with the chart, and I think in the long run this will probably be good. Maybe it's just now people who are wanting to have more control of the price or wanting to have more of an investment, they actually have to go and put more money into these exchanges. So it will.
This kind of reminds me of like in the prior to the Great Depression, they used to have what they called the curb market, which was the predecessor to the American Stock Exchange. And people that couldn't afford to play on the New York Stock Exchange, the big boys, they used to go and trade stocks on the street. And that's where they got the name, the curb market, because it was like literally a stock exchange right on the street. And for the stock exchange to mature and get to the point where pension funds and little old ladies can invest in equity and stuff like that, the market had to mature out of that phase. Mm-hmm. I kind of feel like the rampant speculation within Bitcoin and the Chinese love of gambling and stuff like that, it served its purpose, but Bitcoin has to mature out of that phase at some point.
I kind of feel that too. Like it's it's about time that everybody cleans up their act, basically.
And I'm kind of feeling, for whatever
it has to happen. Everybody has to mature eventually. So
yeah, and I'm kind of feeling that I've noticed it. There's not as much interest in trading the casino as there used to be. And there are also other alternatives. Alex, do you trade on that BitMEX? I don't know. Do you use that?
Yeah. No, I use MEX most of the time now. Like I do like the OKCoin, the futures markets, but BitMEX is just it's kind of grown on me a bit more. I'm liking it.
Yeah. I'm getting the feeling I need to move away from OKCoin and towards that BitMEX.
Yeah, I can definitely speak. I mean, I know Sam from BitMEX, and they're on the up and up, so definitely a good platform.
Okay, so the long and short of it here is the simple message for the audience, just trying to say what the big picture is. I think the simple message is, hey, we just had a hell of a party. Bitcoin loves to rally into November, December. In this particular case, it went right on into the end of the year. I think we're in cleanup mode right now. We all got a bit of a hangover. And if anything, for the slower investors, just let some sort of bottom develop here. The bot loves 3 lows. You notice how on our previous lows, we were putting in nice bases. So let's start to see some basing action, and then we can get all jazzed about the next big Bitcoin rally. For now, I think we're just, we're in cleanup mode.
Yeah, because we haven't had Chinese New Year yet either, and that might be kind of another sort of end of the year event that kind of causes a bit of sell-off, and we need to stabilize through that too. But looking at the chart now,
and we also have a gentleman who's about to rock North America's world coming up here pretty shortly too.
Oh yeah.
As of Friday.
So it's going to be a tumultuous few months ahead of us, and frankly, I don't know which way any of this shit's going to play out. Long and short of it here for Bitcoin off the higher time frames, my setups were done, and I was so proud of Rob saying that he sold into this rally here. In essence, enjoy the win. This was a tough slog through the fall here. We didn't know how this was going to play out. Enjoy the win, and now let's just slowly wait for the next setup to develop to take us into the next year. And this is basically, I have these levels on here. I can already start to see the next long setup developing. But I'm not in any hurry to push a chain here. Let me see, my, Da Vinci probably knows it, but my little bot setup, I really like to see a nice 3 lows to work with, something that looks something along those lines. So I'm going to be watching $900 here on the cash market closely, and you can see how the market is already starting to set this level up here. But let's see how this develops, and even here, this would give me a buy signal, maybe even sometime in the spring. So.
And that looks like it plays really well with like altcoin seasonality. Like your last low was kind of in May, so like that would be when a lot of altcoins would be peaking, and you should probably look at taking profits.
Could be, and speaking of altcoins, right? What we've seen is, I mean, literally on cue. It's almost cliche. literally on cue into the end of the year. They all bottomed, and literally like the first couple days of the new year, they all just jumped up out of nowhere, right? So I mean, it's for new people to investing. Until you actually live it, you go through it, you can't believe that I had somebody say, Brian, if I wasn't watching your show and I was just watching the market, I'd swear all coins were going out of business.
Yep. You see that a lot too. Alts are dead, alts are back. It's everybody has a tendency to pile on kind of after the trend is settled in.
So we did have a nice little bounce there, and it was kind of funny. Just over this past weekend, I kind of started, and I was even in the lounge just going, "Don't anybody say alts are back. Don't even
alts are back,
it, right?" and I could already start to feel it come in. I could feel the Twitter feeds. People were all excited, and I was like, "Uh-oh, this is going too far, too fast." So, I think seasonally, this is exactly the time when alts do start to show some life again. And if anything, one could argue venture capital, brand new calendar year, a whole bunch of new venture capital is just sitting on the sidelines going, okay, where can we put this money to work?
Yep. Yeah, that's a good point too. I mean, people hedge against Bitcoin with alts also. So Bitcoin volume's going up. As soon as those people get a little bit bored, a little bit laissez-faire, they start looking into alts, and then their volume goes up. So.
Yeah. All right, so Alex has put the wheel on his screen. I think that's his subtle message of, Brian, we've had just about enough of your funny business.
We're on to the next funny business.
Dav, you got something to say before we go on? Dav's dying to say something here.
I was just saying it's time for the Wheel of Fortune.
All right.
Let's see what else we got.
All right, let me give it a spin here. We got a lot of suggestions this week. It was a pretty good turnout. So
that's good to look at these future buildings. They get free advertising here, bastards.
Man, they're gonna have to pay us.
Yeah, I think that was from me. I was searching their site earlier, and then Google Ads probably picked it up.
That's cool. To go along with your little truck, eh? So you're going to use this year's winnings to go buy a little building.
It might be. The truck's sitting outside here. It's doing well. The shed might be full of miners. We'll see. I'm looking at doing something maybe with some solar panels on it. And,
there you go.
Running out in the cold next winter. We'll see.
You know what you should do, dude? You got to figure out a way, because you probably produce a hell of a lot of manure on your farm, eh?
I've looked at
compost powered miners. Now we're talking.
Well,
your shitcoins are powered by Bitcoin.
You can literally mine shitcoins.
Oh no! That's a good one.
I'll see about it.
That's good. Seriously, that's a world of free energy just sitting there. There's got to be some way for you to tap into that.
Yeah, we're looking into it. The technology exists. At some point, it will be viable. But we landed on Dash here. So
okay. Fine on it.
So full disclosure, I own some Dash, but
I own lots of Dash. I own almost all of these coins that I talk about. I own.
Yes.
So they are having a release, I think, sometime in this first quarter of DAPI, which is like some application layer for their chain. So it's kind of like some new releases on that will allow a lot more applications to be built, some new clients, so more people can participate in the network. Just a lot of new software coming from them.
All right, and what is our exchange, our favorite exchange? I know Bittrex is up to their games again. They're going to turf off a whole bunch of coins here shortly.
We're going to have to go with Polo with the margin on it.
You like the Polo? The issue with Polo, sometimes you do get these insane, tails, especially back when Polo was, It's interesting to watch Polo's metamorphosis over the past couple of years. I think they're becoming more reputable, if you will. Anyway,
I definitely get that vibe from them. Sorry to interrupt, but yeah.
And just in quick reference here, like right when we look at Bittrex, we don't see that not crazy ass tail there. But in fact, you know what? Just for simplicity purposes, I'm going to study this. But yeah, I mean, you can apply basically the same principle to both. All right, so I was actually having a tutorial today, and somebody on Twitter was like, is Brian's course we're taking, whatever, and I was like, just watch the Coinigy shows. They're free, and we give you lots of really good information if you want to learn how to be a better trader. Usually, each of these shows, we give out some really good, just simple stuff for you to work on. So I think here is a perfect example. In that, we're looking at a weekly price chart, and anytime we can study the higher time frames, especially like a weekly, and we can see structure in the story, that's a good thing, right? I mean, obviously, if we see M's, that's a bad thing, but bottom line here is hopefully everybody looking at this image, it should be pretty obvious that it sure looks to me like we got some sort of floor on this asset down in this area here. And what I often tell new people to trading is, you want to start your research, go and find weekly W's. What the hell do I mean by that? We could just change this to a line chart, and hopefully everybody can see the down and up and down and up through the middle. There is a W, and then down and then up and then down and up. There's a W. So in essence, this thing's telling us there's a pretty darn, clothesline floor right down in this area. And this is where I like students to actually just start their sort of research path, where you can't buy a coin when it's going zooming up here, but you can take your little fib tool, and we can do our little reload zones off of the original bottom, and gee whiz, what you'll often find is that our reload zones often line up nicely with those original bottoms. So in this particular case, if we just use these candle bodies as a nice breakout, you'll notice that the body high here is our line in the sand. So I don't have a problem. New people to investing want to get off on a good footing. Pull up your weekly chart, find your W, draw your little reload zones. Maybe if you guys could just throw yourselves on mute. Thanks, Ben. And just work your bids off of the original structure bottoms. If you want to be even more patient and more disciplined, then as we come down into this zone against this original bottom, start hunting W's. And you'll notice that, if we go back to our line chart, you can see cute little W's coming in here. I suppose one could do the same thing just off of current price action. And if we go from the high back down to this low, gee whiz, there's our little reload zone again. And very interesting price action that's trying to form through here. If I drill down to the daily chart, hopefully you can appreciate that, and I was even pointing this out on the net. I was going, wow, talk about trade location. Wow, awesome. I mean, I love the idea of buying Dash down in this area. And, for those that are going to really zoom in and really fine tune your trading, maybe you don't want a little old lady. Maybe you want to take a more proactive approach. This is what we call the Ron Jeremy setup, where you're just going to wait for the trend line break and then try and hunt any kind of market structure signals. You had a little one that you could have played through here, but I kind of like this structure down in here. And we got a really nice looking little double bottom that came in right there. You guys see that double bottom? See how it went down and then up and then down and then broke out. You can see the cute little double bottom that came in here. You could have bought that and rode that rally. But had you ridden that rally expecting highs up here, you would have, if it were margin trading, boom, you got stop dropped. If anything, maybe watch for inside bar failures to be light on your toes. I do like this little W. That's a sexy little one. But, if we got changes to a clothesline, that would be a B bottom. So, I don't necessarily see the most textbooky W down in here, but I do see trading opportunities. Question really is, can you buy the asset right here? I don't know. I don't think that, it's something that I couldn't do. This isn't a setup where I could buy here. If anything, if you did want to buy, I would just simply take your fib, draw it against those lows, and do you see how the reload zone here happens to line up with that original double bottom level? So I do like the idea, maybe work your stink bids, and if we talk about horizontal support and resistance, that level is important to the market. You can see it in here, all in here. I like the idea of just working a stink bid down in this area here, and with the overall context that we are coming back into, a reload zone off the higher time frames. And the good part about it, like I said, is we've got a market here that's making nice, solid weekly W's. So that's really nice to see. This is a good-looking coin. I got a funny feeling we could very easily see sometime down the road this wedge is going to break. I don't know whether you use that high or not, but I could see some sort of resolution to this wedge, and this thing would project much, much higher prices down the road. It's good to see. We talk about getting in on the ground floor, right? If we break out through the top here, I could very easily see us look back a few years from now and go, yep, there's the bottom down there. Sure wish I was loading up down here. Right?
Well, just to, I guess, give a little more background on this coin, and it kind of looks to me almost like the IO coin chart where it's slowly grinding higher. And IO coin and Dash are both kind of what I call Bitcoin 2.0s. Like they're basically like a store of value, or they're more of a currency type token.
I thought it was just a whole bunch of guys had a crush on a girl named Amanda.
that too, yeah.
I'm sorry, that was a bad joke. That goes out to Michael in our community. He loves Amanda. Anyway, I'm sorry, Alex. I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead. Sorry.
She does good work, but she's actually getting paid by this blockchain now. Like the owners of the chain, like they're everyone has kind of a stake in the network. They'll vote on part of the new coins coming on the market, who they go to. So it's kind of a DAO in a way. So she actually gets paid to do marketing for Dash now. And that's something that kind of changed recently when she moved from the daily decrypt to the Dash detail. So
good for her.
This is kind of an interesting one. The one thing that I haven't gotten a good answer for was Dash is actually not allowed to be on the Apple App Store. Like there was an app that actually had to remove it because Apple said it's not an approved currency, and it's the only one to ever get the axe by Apple. So
yeah, I remember that vaguely. That's right.
Yeah.
I'm
Was it Ajax?
really curious.
And you can use other.
Yeah, the Jax wallet, right? Jax wallet.
Jax, yeah, that's what it was. Jax.
You can use other cryptocurrencies on the Apple network, but they just don't like this one?
Yeah, for some reason they were just like...
that one. Yeah.
Huh. Oh, well, that's very interesting. Amanda, if you're watching this, comment, please.
I don't even
Reason
think
why
they have
is
the answer, though. That's the thing.
No, they do have an answer. Apple does have an answer for it. It's because it's anonymous. You can do a dark send, an anonymous send of the currency. And so Apple feels that it's, it supports terrorism and so forth, and they just don't want to get involved in all that kind of stuff. So.
See, but they allow Zcash and Monero, and soon Bitcoin will have those same sort of features built into it. So
yeah, but if you've ever launched an iOS app, you learn very quickly that Apple's very inconsistent on a lot of stuff. I mean, there's probably just a good chance that whoever was reviewing apps at the time, disliked Dash, and then somebody else got it the next time the app went up for review with different currencies in it and stuff.
Yeah.
So it might even be political.
Yeah, like there could be someone who sees, like in Apple, who sees Dash as more of a threat to Bitcoin, so they don't want to have it on. But that's purely speculation, right? There's a lot of reasoning, I think, behind it. But yeah, I guess that one of their main ones is being anonymous. But the funny thing is, I think they have a couple apps for OneCoin, and OneCoin doesn't even like send to the device. It's basically like a login for OneCoin. Anyone who's not familiar, OneCoin is like a Ponzi scheme that comes out of Eastern Europe.
Oh, yes. You shouldn't even be talking about OneCoin, please. Oh, my God.
So if any of your family members say they're looking at OneCoin and investing, tell them immediately, do not, because it is not a cryptocurrency. It does not offer any of the benefits of something similar to Bitcoin. It is by far the furthest thing from a cryptocurrency. You send your money there, they give you a number on a website, and they tell you it's worth like $10 more every week.
Yep, it's pure scam, pure scam.
Yeah, and their bank accounts are getting banned. They've been classified as a scam by new countries every week. So it's really just something to avoid altogether. Do not invest in one coin. I don't care how good the chart looks.
All right, there's your fundamental warning for everybody.
People have actually asked me to invest in one coin. I'm like, no, no. Does it trade on anywhere? No. It doesn't trade on any exchange, so don't bother.
Exactly.
You've been schooled.
There's been a couple of those in the past. I can think of one that starts with a B that they were basically, they ran their own exchange and then it wasn't really actively traded anywhere other than their own exchange, and they kept feeding the market. Yeah.
I think it's called US dollars.
That's a good point.
Good one.
And if you don't play by their game, then you're going to end up taking a
So just take your coins.
I'm just kidding. IRS, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Mr. Trump, I'm just kidding. Actually, speaking of which, we should probably take a look at Trump coin, eh? See what the hell they're up to. But anyway, okay, so what's next on the hit list here, Chief?
Sorry?
What's next on the hit list? Did you already spin?
All right, let's give the wheel a spin here.
All right. And I mean, how are we doing tonight? Is this good quality stuff we're doing? I hope it is.
I think so. Oh, sweet. I've been getting a lot of buzz about NXT for buy location. So
all right, let's see what we got here.
I haven't seen NXT in a while.
This thing's been on one hell of a ski slope, eh? Let's see what we got here. Boom. Woohoo! I don't know, man. I mean, the problem here, right, is and is that all the history? If we go over to Bitterlist, is any different? It just looks just as bad. You know, didn't the original develop here do this ADRD or ARDR thing or spinoff or whatever?
I'm not sure. I just muted Alex. Alex would know, but I muted. Oh,
yeah. So just a little history on NXT. It's actually one of the most successful ICOs because only like 30 people participated. So people were getting it for like 10 satoshis. And then they actually
might just have to go back to 10 satoshis then.
Well, wait a second. Does that then qualify as a pre-mine if only like 30 people got in?
Yeah, you could probably make that argument. So this last like little event that we see here, like literally the beginning and the end of that price move, which was about 1,000 satoshis. That was the start and the end of a door distribution, ARDR. So basically, if you own NXT for that length of period, every I think like 2 weeks they did a snapshot, and then you got a section of the newly created token. So you can literally see that the peak of it is in the middle of that distribution. Like it's like, okay, now we start selling now because at the end of this, there's no real reason to own NXT. And,
I got the impression that the the guy that actually was behind this thing, the developer, he was the guy who spun off the ADRD. Why is it I have such a mental block against that? And he's not even really associated with this NXT anymore, is it? Is that correct?
They say NXT is still going to have a use case, which it still has a crap load of tokens hosted on it. Like there's quite an ecosystem for NXT. I think Adore is supposed to be something like a smart contract platform that works with NXT.
Yeah.
And just reading today that there's going to be another distribution, like another coin that's being given out. It's Ingis, INGIS. So working in a similar way that it's going to, I think if you hold NXT, you get some of this coin. The thing is there's going to be a percentage of this coin that actually is going to be as like a developer pre-mine. So it's going to be given to the NXT developers to, I guess, fund more development. So very similar to Adore, it's just a good chunk of it is going to be given away to fund development. So it sounds like they're kind of doing another distribution, and this one is purely to establish a marketplace for dumping. So I don't know if it's going to have the same. It's not going to have the same effect on NXT as Adore did, because Adore actually I think has like more value now than NXT ever did.
Yeah, I got the impression. I mean, I think I got a whack at that Adore, and so this was a hell of a rally. I remember when this rally happened, I was concerned that this was a V bottom. I remember we've talked about this in previous shows. The fact that the market made a new low and then just took off, sadly, usually that means we got to come right back down and test it, and that's what it did. We tried to put in cute little bottoms, and I think I did take some nibbles in here, but there is no quote unquote the bottom here yet. And what bothers me about this, I've seen this, when we look at that NAUT, it did sort of the same thing where, if this is going to bottom, it's going to saucer bottom, and it's going to look something like this, right? Now, holy crap, where the hell are we going? Whoop, I guess we don't want to do that. But, this saucer bottom, let's maybe undo that. This saucer bottom is, if this is going to bottom, and frankly, I don't know. Come on. I can't get rid of this damn thing now. This is going to take some time to develop. That sucks. Let's see if I can do this way. I'll go like here, here. I don't even know where the apex of this is. You can still see we're making lower lows, eh? So we don't even know where the apex of this is. And then the fact that Alex tells me that the original ICO, we're losing these lows, right? The original ICO, people are long from 10 ticks. Well, fuck. I mean, this thing still has a market cap of $5.7 million. Could they knock that down to $1 million? Sure. I mean, they can do any old damn thing they want. So where does this saucer bottom actually end? That's anybody's guess. Long and short of it here is that there's no signs of a bottom here yet. It's painful. If anything, this is exactly why I like to do little of lady, so that I can take nibbles, but I'm not going to get too hurt if this thing just, swoons here. Could I go out and justify buying this today? No, there's just nothing here for me to work with. As soon as we start to see some sort of, good old Brian and his W's, as soon as we start to see some sort of signs of bottom, and I don't know where that is, it could be lower, it could be this low, I don't know. Then you can start going, okay, well, what are some realistic bounce levels? And I think that there is a bunch of unfinished business here. If we look back on this chart itself, what I would suggest you do is just hunt for gaps on the chart. So you see that there's a hole on the chart right here. So that's a pretty logical stopping point. Looks like there might also be another gap here, right there. So those are levels to keep an eye on, and let's see if those levels line up with any fib levels. All right, so we just assumed that we're going to bottom here. I don't know, but what a coincidence. Can you see how the line in the sand is going to line up with the top of the gap, and Mountain Man is going to line up with this gap? Isn't that interesting? What a coincidence, eh? So, I wouldn't be surprised if this thing has to saucer out, and this might take the entire spring, and then heading into our seasonal peak, September, August. Usually I found the altcoin peak is the summertime. I think because of the halvening event and some other issues with regard to Bitcoin, it was kind of put on pause a couple weeks there this year, and so the ultimate peak was in like September. But anyway, you shake it, sometime in the summertime here is where I'd look for any kind of sort of dead cat bounce. My hunch is your first stop, you can see 200 period moving average, these old peaks, that should be pretty good resistance. And ultimately, if this thing can ever get its act together, and that's a big if, like I said, there is no signs of bottoms here yet, I think you're going to run into just a brick wall of resistance up in this area up in here. All right, unfortunately, that's not a bullish scenario. I know I asked people to give me coins that have bottoms. I want to go and buy, because I got like 2-3 Bitcoin just sitting in Bitcoin wanting to buy altcoins, but I can't buy this. In fact, I got a bit of it on the books. I'm just going to let that work, and that's about it for now.
What is this NXT 2.0 stuff you have up, Alex?
Yeah, I was just looking up to see more information on the distribution. It looks like it's not happening until Q3 this year. So their roadmap actually has a fair bit of information here. So Q1, we're going to see the NXT 2.0 / Adore testnet going live. So I assume that means like NXT is going to have a use or something in the new network. I can't imagine they're going to call it NXT and then have the old token not be used. So Adore, I think, is going to be like contract fuel, similar to like Ether. And NXT is going to be like the power for the network. So looking like most of the developments right now are just like straight up testing. So we won't see.
I heard you say something about Q3. What was that reference to Q3?
That distribution. So like another kind of Adore happening. Like that's going to happen in Q3. The snapshot for INGNIS, the Ignis distribution, and it looks like it's a one-time event. It's not going to be like a large window of snapshots. It's only going to be like Q3. We're going to see the snapshot. So we should probably rally into that, I would think.
Yeah, well, and so our little sort of parabolic market symmetry kind of thesis suggests that there's that Q3.
Yeah, that works
out well. I could see it follow some sort of pattern like this. So, all especially the sharks out there, because we got some pretty sharky guys here trading altcoins. My hunch is they're going to just slowly be accumulating through this spring, through the early summer, looking for that fundamental event to take profits. I think that makes sense. That's not out of the question.
Yeah, and NXT is full of traders. Like a lot of the tokens that are on their network are like are token represented funds. So like you buy into it and then you get paid dividends. That's actually one of the cool things about NXT. It has a really cool dividends tool. So they're kind of like a stock market on their own.
Yeah, it's really cool. I remember kind of when it first came on the scene, and I always thought it had a lot of promise. It's good to see that. I haven't heard anything about NXT for a long time, so I just assumed it had just been out there and the story was over. But good to see that they're still working on a lot of initiatives.
Can you guys see the fundamental difference, though, in the story versus like Dash?
Oh yeah.
I mean,
yeah, definitely.
Dash and this guy, they're apples and oranges. Right? This guy is not trending higher. At least Dash has got some sort of base to work with. I don't see that here. So
like, well, if you look at the ICO, you have a few number of people who invested like, I don't know, 30 Bitcoin, and then they find out, oh, this thing actually is like fully developed. Man, it's worth so much money, and then they start creating all these tokens on it. Now all of that value that they had at the beginning is just being bled into all these tokens. Like, oh, this is a cool project. I'll invest in this. I'll invest in this.
Yeah.
And none of it's coming back into NXT. So
yeah,
good point.
And that's an interesting way that crypto may dilute itself.
Yeah.
I was talking with students today about bubbles in economies usually represent 30% or more of an economy. So if we're thinking that crypto could go into bubble mode here, and we know a top in crypto is here, then that means that this crypto space has to be worth about $4 or $5 trillion. So the question ultimately is, we're not there now, and we got a long, long way to go. The question is, how do we get there? And I've made the thesis that I don't think we can have like one coin. I don't think Bitcoin will ever be worth $1 trillion itself. What will probably happen is like what Alex is talking about here, where networks like this just, this one coin will have 1,000 branches itself, right? And the crypto space grows horizontally, not vertically. So that makes sense.
I read the white paper to NXT, and I didn't like what I read. They have control over your coins, right? Voting rights, so they can vote away your coins and stuff like that. People with large amounts of coins can vote away your coins, and it just made me a little nervous. And and that's another thing. That's why I don't like Ethereum with that how they had that fork. because it clearly shows that, hey, wait a second, if I can create a Ponzi scheme like what's it called, application on the Ethereum that only slowly turns into a Ponzi scheme over time, and then once everybody's going to get screwed over at the end of a Ponzi scheme, well, you know what? They'll just make more currency in order to like save everybody. So I just don't like that.
Yeah, I think part of the risk with NXT is that it's proof of stake with no interest rate. Like all the coins that were created at once. So the stakers are only getting the fees. So yeah, there's a problem. You need good distribution for proof of stake. You need a lot of people staking, or else you basically have a centralization of power. So that's part of the risk, I think, with NXT. And as for like value creation and whatnot, like there could be a real argument if like Ethereum, when it skyrocketed in value, did that add value to Bitcoin? Like, because we did see a rally kind of around this, like Ethereum launched, and we saw Bitcoin do a reversal. So there was definitely, I think, like an ebb and flow to like money coming into Ethereum was also putting value into Bitcoin as well. So there, I think, yeah, there's lots to be said about the fractaling of value, but also value creation. So it just kind of goes, is the project actually doing something that is, you know, like a proof of work, you know, like is there proof of work for the token being created and actually sustaining its value, or is it only a means to extract value?
Yeah, and I guess what I'm hearing is they're going to keep issuing more tokens to actually pay people, eh?
Yeah, and like, I don't think NXT is a store of value. I think it's something to, you know, power their network. Like you need to have some sort of incentive tool, or like store, like you need to have something that is worth something to use the network. But unless like they have like hit a critical mass of use on the network where there's a shortage of tokens, there's probably not going to be an issue with price going up because of that.
Okay.
We'll see.
Yeah. And long and short of it, there is no bull right now, so don't cool your jets. You don't need to go and bet the farm here.
All right. I think let's give one here.
Wheel it up.
We had a lot of tokens starting with X or N. I mean, so now we have NXC.
All right.
Okay. NXC. Do I know who this is?
I'm not even sure what NXC is.
Only on Polo, eh?
The nav?
All right. So not a heck of a lot of history here.
Was it recent ad? Let me do.
Looks like it's called Next Bytecodes. Not exactly C. Oh no, I'm sorry. This is something else.
Nexium. This is
I
one
remember
of the
this.
recent ads.
This is kind of a funny one. We don't know how many coins are out on this thing, eh?
Apparently not.
Not interested. Not interested.
I'll have to check on our data sources there.
It looks to me like maybe this was this a ICO? I don't know, but came out of the gate and just got bitch slapped right on the open, eh?
It looks like it's an Ethereum token that is going to be a currency in a video game. So
okay. Well, that's a pretty competitive space, eh? Like those game credit guys, man, they are working their butts off.
Yeah, and like we've seen this concept before. Where they actually like Hyper, I think, wanted to do something similar, where they're a gaming company that created a token to crowdfund like the development of a game. So I don't know if anyone's heard of the game No Man's Sky, but sometimes a lot of pre-orders and hype is not a good thing.
And sometimes hours and hours in procedurally generated planets just doesn't cut it.
My kids love it.
Looking at these.
Okay, so you know, investor,
I haven't played it. I'm just kidding.
Investor-wise, it's too early for investors to really make a decision about this. Probably what we're going to need to see is some price exploration through this range here to try and determine where value is. I think you know, for swing traders off the daily charts, you could argue that kind of a cute little trading range was established here. You know, you had the big dump, and then, you know, ultimately, and is this 0? No, it's not even 0. It's 10 sats. Oh, no, it is 0. All right, so I don't even know if this candle is for real or not.
Yeah, I don't know where.
Do that on these
Sometimes we get weird data points like that through the API. So
any way you slice it, I think we can see that some sort of trading range was established through here. And this is just really a simple function of M's and W's. Hopefully everybody watching this can see the W. It's pretty plain as day, right? Down, up, down, breakout. And actually, it's even more powerful if you happen to see an M inside a W, because this is actually a harmonic pattern. And it goes something like this, right? Really cute little harmonics. And this actually becomes a very powerful level right in here. And if this turns bull, well, you see what the end result is. Kaboom! So, you know, maybe get yourself familiar with harmonic patterns if you are interested in that. We do a module in our advanced programs. But, you know, for this simple lower time or higher time frame, let's keep it really simple. You know, I got a day job, Brian. I don't watch the screen 24/7, blah, blah, blah. We got a nice W working here. You can see how price really compressed in here. So I wouldn't have a problem whatsoever if somebody said to me, hey, Brian, I'm thinking about buying the breakout, and I'm going to risk down to the low end of this range here. And I'm going to try, I mean, hell, you could even, you know, grab your fib tool, and let's even just draw some very simple fibs off of, and really, I don't know if I can use that low, but, you know, probably best to maybe even, let's go down to like the lower time frame. Let's see what we got here. All right, so there's a candle body that we can work with. There's the top of the body right there. So, you know, on balance.
that looks good to me.
That level right there, you mean?
No,
Yeah,
just
see,
the chart. Just the chart
look
in general. It looks like one of those that's ready to blast off.
Yeah, well, it's blasting.
Yeah, right. It presently is.
So, and you know, off of this 2-hour chart, right, you can see the very well-defined W. I do often suggest to people, you know, when you really want to fine-tune your trading, right, we're going to hunt for this big W. And if you can happen to find a little W inside the very end of the big W, well, you've got a lot of power here. You know, not a bad trade setup here whatsoever. And like we said, off of the daily charts, if you just simply wanted to buy this level and risk to these lows, you know, not a bad risk reward. I mean, hell, you could probably get even just where we are right now, probably better than 2 to 1. Let's see where we are here. You know, the peak, it produced a 2.75 risk reward. Not bad. I think there's still more to go here. I think you probably shoot for this 7,500 level. What does that produce? That produces a 6.5 risk reward. Not bad. You know, keep it simple, stupid. I always like my new students just to force yourself to get into the habit of taking profits at 2 to 1. You can see how that's that very comfortably got hit, and that's actually the top of the body right there. So the little swing traders, you know, trading off of these lower time frame charts. You know, I don't mind the double bottom, but you can't buy it here, right? You missed the trade. It's over. Now, what do you think the odds are if we, and this one candle screwing up my charts here, sorry guys. What do you think the odds are that if we draw a reload zone off of this particular range, it's going to suggest that we should be focusing in on this area going forward?
Pretty good odds, Brian.
Yeah, I think odds are pretty high, eh? So, gee whiz, there we go, right? And it's not an accident. In essence, if I wanted to buy this thing, I would focus on reload zone, which is nothing more than just a kiss of these old highs. And you can see we even have a moving average starting to come in here. You know, somewhere down in this area, if I wanted to be a buyer of this thing, if I wanted to join the party, I would hunt. I mean, ideal scenario would be price comes down in here, puts in a cute little W, and maybe even a W within a W, and away you go, right? Something like that. So can't buy it here. Sorry.
This coin actually traded before going to Polo on it's a decentralized platform called Open Ledger, and it looks like there wasn't a whole lot of volume, but we have an old high of was it 7,500 Satoshis?
7,500. I think we said that was, yeah, that's the 38.2 right there, right?
Yeah, yeah. So
Spot on.
So that's probably a really big level right there to keep an eye on.
yeah, because that was bought up prior to going, I guess, onto Polo. But other than that, there isn't a whole lot of volume here. It's pretty dead most of the time. Now that it's on Polo, I think that's kind of like market launch. But yeah, this was pre-trading. Just to get a little history on this.
For the lower time frame participants, I just noticed I went down to the hourly chart, and hello, you see this big hole on the charts here? So there's some unfinished business right up at this level, right there. So I'd keep a close eye on that level there going forward. And actually interesting, notice how 38.2 is that candle wick peak there, right? So, you know, if you want to hop off, this is the area you really want to concentrate in, just like Alex said.
Good deal.
That makes sense.
All right. Yeah. Okay, let's give it another spin here and see what we find.
All right. Hey, DJ, spin that wheel.
Yeah, what happened to the cheering noises and stuff?
Yeah.
That's the funny thing. It's like I hear it in my ear, but I guess you guys don't hear it. So sometimes you're talking to me after I spin the wheel, I have no idea what you're saying.
Oh, wow. Okay. Didn't know that. All right. Lisk. Ah, good old Lisk. Lisk, and actually, I'm a bit surprised he hasn't done a better. He seemed to come to market and seemed to be fairly well received. We do have these insane tails, and I remember when this happened, I was like, oh, fuck, you know, how bad does BATT have to be? Let's see, Bitrex, yeah, we got those same crazy tails. Let's see if they're down on the lower time frame. Excuse me, I got the hiccups. Oh boy, I don't know what the hell that one was.
Just a little background on Lisk. It's similar to Ethereum, but it runs in a far more common programming language called Java. And they raised, I think, something like $10 million. I forget what Bitcoin price was at that time. But the crazy thing is they actually don't have access to those funds yet. So this market opened at about 3x and of the ICO price. Just looking now on Reddit, it says someone says it was 7 cents USD value at time. So yeah, pretty good return if you're holding it still because of the Bitcoin price increase. But I think they get access to their funds sometime in the first quarter here. So hopefully that translates to some market support by the developers. We'll see, but we still have yet to see, I guess, function on the network.
Okay, a little disappointing technically for them to lose these initial listing lows. We thought maybe we were going to turn here, but it just never came in. The fact that we lost these lows, I think we even started to see some panic dumping in through this. You know, the sad part about it, right? They say lower highs and lower lows defines a bear market, and all I see are lower highs and lower lows. So unfortunately, I just don't see a hell of a lot to get excited about. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a lot of tax loss selling heading into this end of the year by anybody who did take shots up in this area here. If you had gains elsewhere, why not just hit the bid and use this to offset tax implications elsewhere? I suppose we can, you know, we've got enough trading history here. We should be, you know, taking a look at these higher time frames. And, you know, just like our Dash conversation, you know, we'll know that this is a good quality story. We'll know that it's investment grade when we start seeing weekly W's. And I just don't see any weekly W's yet here, right? It's been really painful. And like I said, I'm a little disappointed. Little old lady, you know, full disclosure, I've been just sort of taking little nibbles as we've been going along here. Not really putting a hell of a lot into the market. I think I'm up to maybe about 3% portfolio exposure. But, you know, I'd have to say, if somebody asked me, gun to the head, Brian, is this a buy? I'd have to say, well, no, I don't see any reason structurally here for us to expect a bottom today. I suppose one could argue, you know, wicks and tails like to be eaten. Somebody panic dumped into here, and that's sort of what the market's going through right now, is just eating up this range. I suppose one could argue, with Alex's sort of talk about, funds becoming available and maybe what are they going to do in the spring. Maybe if we're lucky, we can somehow put in some sort of base through here. And heading into the spring, they get their money out. They can do some sort of promotion for us to change our tone here. Time being, there just ain't much to work with here. It sucks.
The ICO price in Bitcoin was 1,800 or 18,200 satoshis. So we're kind of right around that range in terms of Bitcoin value. Bitcoin was $440.
Price.
$440. So
Bitcoin's twice that. Technically, the same price would be like what, 9,000, I guess, 8,000.
Yeah. So I guess you can kind of see it's trying to maintain its 7 cents ICO price.
Yeah.
Or at least find that level again. But yeah, we'll see. I guess when it launches here, just a little more, I guess, knowledge. So we heard a lot of issues with Ethereum and the actual programming on top of the network. So this related to the code they use called Solidity. Yeah, and that translates into something like 68 codes that get put into the blockchain. This one runs Java, and I guess Java has
JavaScript. Sorry, I have to interrupt. Yeah.
JavaScript, and apparently the JavaScript virtual machine has, I think, roughly 3 times as many codes. So there is a lot of potential for problems and attack surface, like even more than I guess Ethereum would have had. So I imagine once they actually get some contracts on the network and some dApps being built, we'll maybe see some market forces. But we could easily see something like a DAO happen, or spamming of the network. Like all those risks that we saw with Ethereum are quite possible on Lisk, and they might even be worse.
Yeah, I know one of our developers at Coinigy, Byron, actually contributes to Lisk. He's knocked out like a C# client and a couple other kind of ancillary tools for Lisk. And I mean, he's a really smart guy. He really believes in it. So, but yeah, I mean, as far as who knows what could happen in the future with decentralized apps and stuff.
And there was we have one site member, Nasco, who was really bullish of Lisk, and he thought it was a much better platform than Ethereum. I don't know. I mean, I don't. Me, I'm a trader. I'm not the crypto guy. I'm not.
Yeah, I mean, the sentiment that I get from the programmer's perspective, and without having really used either of them extensively, is that Ethereum created basically their own programming language, and whenever you do that, there's going to be issues. There's going to be problems, and the kind of having everything available in JavaScript is a lot better, just because it's picked up more widely by people, easier to understand and such. Those big major problems have already been ironed out. So
okay, I think on balance, keep this really simple for the audience. We had looked at the 2-hour chart and we saw that was a pivot. Disregard this candle tail here. And that was an important level, and you can see how it's resistance. And gee whiz, I just threw a fib on here off of this high. We see that the 38.2 first stop just happens to line up with that horizontal level. My hunch is this thing's going through sort of a consolidation phase. Let's hope that this is a bottom, but there's no guarantees in this business. If we're lucky and we do, put in a W, my hunch is the big battle is going to be at this 35,000 level. So that, if you're looking for a level that's probably going to put up a fight in the marketplace, that's probably the level I'd keep an eye out going forward. And let's, I mean, the long and short of it here is until we actually start getting some structure to suggest this is a bull, it isn't. It sucks, but it's the way it is.
Yeah. Hey, can we take a look at NXS? There's a bunch of people in the chat asking about it, so might as well throw them a bone and take a look. I know nothing about it, but
NXS.
Oh, somebody was asking me about it today. And here's the problem, right? I mean, yeah, it looks fucking awesome, right? And Alex can probably tell us about how wonderful the network is. Now they're reinventing the wheel, but as a trader, can I go and buy this here?
No.
I'm just not allowed to, right? If anything, this, and well, you know what? You remember when, what the hell was it? SYNX. Remember when it first came out and people were in the, we were doing a BATT show and everybody's like, SYNX, take a look at it, right? And it was like doing one of these face rips and it was like, you can't buy this here. And if we look at that SYNX, right, after the party's over, the prices just end up coming back down. So this one here, I like the structure. This is beautiful, higher highs and higher lows defines the bull market. This is what we want to see. But why didn't you tell me about this a week ago?
I know.
Yeah, it's funny, these guys during the last run up there, they were kind of spamming the tweet and the chat before, and I interviewed Colin because that was one of the reasons that it went kind of upwards. There was the developer went public, and it turns out he's the son of some guy who used to work for SpaceX and now has his own private rocket company. So there's, I guess, lots of thoughts that somehow NXS is going to be in space some way. The other thing that I realized today is actually I think Colin was on being interviewed on one of the Bitcoin Unlimited or something, or Uncensored, and there's a conference going on right now, Bitcoin Miami, and I believe Colin is there. So maybe this is, coinciding with that publicity. Like he's at a conference right now. He's talking to lots of people about NXS. So lots of people were going to want to buy it after meeting him and finding out who he is. So that seems to be all coinciding.
This reminds me of the Dutch coins too. And actually, I should give you a shout out to you, Alex. Your referral. Isn't his name Alex as well?
Oh, yes, yeah. I met up with Alex and when I was
I told him that I would give you a shout out and say hi to you from him. So hi from Alex. But this reminds me of the Dutch coins recently. And, remember you were just in Holland, right? And when NLG was going absolutely nuts, the guy was like, oh, did you buy NLG, right? And all jazzed, and now you're going to buy it here, and you just can't, right? Well, same sort of thing. Great story, awesome, excellent, but I can't buy this here. It's just too fucking late. You missed the boat. This is like you're standing at the dock, and the boat's leaving, and you can hear the horn, and all the people on deck are throwing the confetti in the air. They're going to have a wicked party, and you're standing on the pier going, hey, what about me? Right? Too bad you missed the boat. Right?
Sometimes I love those analogies, Brian.
Yeah, okay. Sometimes, but not always. Hey, okay. I think if we just use our little reload tool, we were told exactly where to be buyers here. And my advice to you is, and this is where you have to exercise patience and discipline, is you got to wait for wherever the hell the top is, and you just don't know. And you got to take your reload zone tool and maybe even just go off of this level here. And so what this means is we can start targeting bullish price action in this window going forward. And what a coincidence. Can you see the gap right here? We were just talking earlier about using gaps as price objectives. So, what this might even be telling us is where to expect the top to come in. If we think that price will bottom at the reload zone and there's a gap there as an objective, where does price have to go to, I don't know, just get the mountain man level to line up with that gap? Well, now we can start to see I could maybe see where tops might come in here. But the long and short of it here is I can't buy here. It's just too risky. In essence, if I buy here, I have to be able to stomach all of this risk. And that's not the kind of risk I want to do if I want to win at this game. And then also, too, remember that anytime we actually risk our hard-earned money in this game, what we really want to do is we want to make money, but we want to make sure that if we're right, we get paid relative to the amount of risk we take. So if I have to buy up here and I have to risk against this structure, then I want to see at least a 2-to-1 risk reward to justify me actually putting my neck in the noose. So where does that mean I really need to see price be able to go? Well, that means to justify buying here, I got to see at least up into this area. So, if you're like, well, Brian, I was told by the inside this thing's going to 45,000 sats. Well, fine, great. You can take this trade and risk this levels, but that's not a trade I I don't like going into situations where my minimum profit objective is a pretty substantial move higher on an asset. That's just not setting yourself up for success. So.
Good deal.
All right, so I apologize, and I can understand why the public is talking about this. I can understand why people are interested. This is the trap. If anything, what this is like Bitcoin at like 12 or 1100 bucks there a couple of weeks ago, right? You have to have the patience and discipline not to get sucked into the trap.
Good deal. Well, I think on that note, we're getting to that time, so we should probably wrap her up. Brian, is there any place that people that are watching could potentially learn a little bit more about the stuff that you've been going over tonight?
Sure. Thank you for that nice segue, Will. We run a site called therationalinvestor.co. It was actually kind of cool. We're getting fun hits. I had a nice conversation with a guy today, and he's like, "Oh, I was just Googling, and your site came up, and what the hell do you do here?" And we actually got him to the point where he subscribed to the site, so fucking A.
Hey, right on.
But we have a whole bunch of tools and really good feedback. We've had some, phenomenal returns in our trading. I'm not quite sure why these images aren't coming up here. We do daily videos for the community, as well as weekly videos. We have a school that we run if you want to learn, sort of very hands-on, one-on-one, very interactive, very detailed program. I think it's actually a pretty good environment in that it's the type of area where I'm a really big fan of this concept of positive mental attitude. I don't like jerks. So if you're going to be a jerk, then I'll give you your money back and just ask you to leave. I consider it a very sort of incubator type environment, and it's a really good sort of launching pad for a lot new people to trading, to sort of go to a place that's a nice, warm, fuzzy place, and that you're not going to get beat up on.
Awesome. So
that's where I'm from.
Right on. So Alex, where can we find you?
Let's see, Twitter, I'm block_talk. If you want to check out my show feed, I do a Bitcoin or blockchain podcast where you learn a lot more about the fundamental side of it. We just did an interview with Decred, so we learned a lot more.
Yeah, that was a cool interview.
Yeah, it's nice to finally meet the developer behind it. So we were fortunate enough to be the first time he went public and kind of explain more about the project and where it's going. If you guys want a cool environment to learn more about the technology side of it, you can join us in the Ubix Slack. So if you go to slack.ubixsmart.com, you can sign up for our Slack and join the chat. Feel free to ask any technical questions you want to understand Bitcoin and blockchains a little better, or learn a bit more of the technology behind some of these coins tonight. We're always discussing them, so it's a good time. And to go with Brian, good positive mental attitude going around the space there. We're lots of fun guys who love to joke around. So,
that's one of the few Slacks that I participate in, because you guys just have a good attitude over there. So.
Well, it's the Canadian in us that keeps rubbing off.
Yeah. It's very much so, yeah. No, and I'm the community manager there, so if you do have any problems, feel free to let me know, and I'll handle it accordingly.
Good deal. How about yourself, Da Vinci? Where can we find you?
Yes, I'm on Twitter at DaVinciJ15. You can find me DaVinciJ15 pretty much everywhere, even on YouTube and so forth. If you want to find me on Skype, DaVinciJ15 as well. I'm also in Brian's chat room, so I'm always there. If you want to hit me up and ask me some questions, right? Ask me about my Dabble meter, you can, and let you know how it works and how to trade it.
Awesome. Cool. I guess that kind of wraps it up. And I guess I'll give myself a little Coinigy plug. Make sure to check out Coinigy.com. If you like the charts that you saw today, obviously we're a small team just building in as much as humanly possible, 16 hours a day. So we don't have volume profile yet, but that's on the list. I can see Brian smirking. He made a comment. He made an allusion to it today. He thought I didn't catch it, but so yeah, don't forget, you guys, anybody who's watching, if you like and subscribe to this, you'll get notified of any future videos. So we should be on schedule for 2 weeks from tonight at 8 p.m. Central. And on that note, thanks for watching, and we'll say sayonara for now.
Have a good evening, everyone.
Bye.
Happy trading.
Bye.